to that.
You could never do that.
Yeah, and if your son was, God would have still.
Is there anything else you'd like to say in this courtroom?
You had been lying to me.
Child that need a father.
I can't stand it even when people talk about it.
No, read the police report.
My son talk baby talk, like normal babies.
Somebody coming telling me that they pregnant by my baby.
But you say this my son for sure though. Like you,
Just so happened, it became more than what it was.
Angela Monroe learned about Shaneka Reed's pregnancy in a deeply poignant context. After the death of her son Herbert, the potential grandma, being terminally ill and in the midst of grief, was confronted with a dilemma in the form of a baby girl named Ayana.
The court recently received the following submission from the plaintiff. My name is Angela Monroe. My son Herbert died on January 27th, 2015. After my son passed, a young lady named Shaneka Reed, which is the defendant, told me that she was pregnant from my son. The baby was born on May 31st, 2016. I really would like to know.
Angela Monroe, discussing her close relationship with her late son, was unaware of Shaneka Reed's pregnancy until after his death. Shaneka claimed that her relationship with Angela's son was serious, stating he desired her as a lifelong companion from early in their relationship.
So, Ms. Monroe, you were very close to your son.
Yes,
He lived with you?
yes.
And did he ever tell you about this relationship, the fact that he may have a baby on the way?
Knowing my son, he would come to me about certain things, but when it came to her being pregnant, that wasn't mentioned to me at all.
Tensions escalate between both mommies regarding their respective relationships with the deceased son. Reed claims they shared a serious, integrated life, but Miss Monroe disputes her characterizations and financial dealings with her son. Miss Reed accuses Miss Monroe of jealousy, while Miss Monroe solemnly refers to her son's passing as the ultimate separation, diminishing Miss Reed's assertion.
My son moved us from one place to another. He searched for apartments, but it was in both of our names. But then when you telling me he got money for me to give to you?
Yes,
no, I don't have no knowledge of
You
that.
thought I was
For one,
taking your
he
son away
asked
from you.
me- Nobody can take my son. God took my son from me.
Defendant explains the circumstances that led her to move in with Miss Monroe, citing her cousin's request for her to assume responsibility for Miss Monroe's hospital trips, a task previously managed by the deceased son. Although working full-time and raising 2 children,
All right, let's get some control, ladies. I do want to hear
Yes,
this.
ma'am.
I want to understand this, but I need to hear it one at a time.
Okay.
So, now this is what I want to understand. How did you ever get to the point where you're moving in?
Because I was living with my cousin at the time. She wanted me to move in to take over the responsibilities of running back and forth to the hospital with her, the same stuff that her son was doing.
the plaintiff initially accepted the baby, as per the discussion with Judge Lake. There is a moment of reflection about the past when Miss Monroe's son invited Miss Reed to stay with them because she had nowhere to go. Miss Reed underscores her belief in her relationship with the son and his acknowledgement of the pregnancy.
Whew, take me so long to quiet you all down. I forgot what I was going to ask.
This is what
But no, hold on. Miss Monroe, at first, did you accept the baby?
At first,
So
but
you
I-
said-
but I'm accepting this baby for the first 4 months, but then things
And you
went-
tell her she can come and live if she wants.
This was when she was pregnant, because my son did ask could she come stay there.
Judge Lake emphasizes understanding and reflects on how the possible father, Miss Monroe's son, would not want to see such discord. Miss Monroe is willing to support Ayana if she is her grandchild, but insists on maintaining respect and boundaries in any relationship moving forward, all while trying to uphold the respect she and her late son held.
All right, ladies, we made it this far. All I'm trying to do is understand how we got to this place. Because I will say one thing. I know your son, if this is his baby, I know he doesn't want to see this. Because this won't just be happening in this courtroom. This will be happening around Ayana.
Yeah, and I do not want my daughter around it.
You can't.
I'm not gonna be around. I'm not in a position to be arguing with anybody.
For 3 years, the drama of Miss Simpson and her son has been chasing Mr. Dansby. Miss Simpson had him completely roped in, but now Mr. Dansby snapped, and he wants an answer without any of the drama. Why did it take Mr. Dansby 3 years to petition the DNA results?
So, Mr. Dansby, why is it it's taking you 3 years to petition the court for a DNA test?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
The reason why it took 3 years, ma'am, because Miss Simpson, she had been lying to me. It was so much shade. She had another dude who she was dealing with. I mean, it was one particular morning I had caught.
No.
The biggest red flag for Mr. Dansby is how Miss Simpson hasn't ever let him meet their son. She's been dragging him into all this drama of paternity, but the poor guy's never met the boy. They used to be in a relationship long ago, but then Mr. Dansby caught Miss Simpson having sex with her phone guy.
Point blank. And
How
I asked you about
this
it.
lady and you will stand with me. If that's the case, why would I have
Mr.
you stand
Dansby,
with
the
me?
man told you that she was his lady?
Yes.
And then what did you say?
No.
I spoke with her about it. I thought he heard.
So you
my
all
voice.
just hung up. After that, you hung up, and then that's when you had the conversation with her.
Yes.
Right after he caught her, she told him she was pregnant. Initially, he was going to believe her, but then he realized the baby could be the phone guy. But his doubts were confirmed when she called him one day and said it's not his baby.
When did she say this?
Okay, and that
This
came
was like,
about-
this was in 3 months before he was even born.
It was not 3 months. It was not 3 months.
I had
Hold
been
on.
calling you the
I
whole-
want to understand this. Get me to this conversation 3 months before the baby was even born, where you say she told you the baby wasn't even yours.
I asked. We was talking over the phone, and she somewhat got an attitude with me.
Why would Miss Simpson do that? Even the judge is tired of the drama in the courtroom. She just wants straight answers. Miss Simpson proclaims that she was too stressed out by Mr. Dansby not playing a part in their boy's life, so the best way was to get him kicked out of the equation and bring in another man.
You keep bringing up another man.
Miss Simpson, did
It ain't
you?
even
Were
possible.
you with anyone else? Were you sleeping with anyone else?
It was a possibility of someone else. So,
So you admit there was another man?
yes, Your Honor, it was.
At what point did you admit to Mr. Dansby that there was another man?
It was maybe 3 months into the pregnancy.
The biggest shocker was when the boy was born, and Miss Simpson didn't even invite Mr. Dansby to the hospital. Later on, Mr. Dansby was angry to discover how the phone guy was called to the hospital, and then she didn't let Mr. Dansby meet the baby boy for 3 years.
As far as me and her getting together, sitting down and talking like grown people about Tanaris, it was all talk, no action with Miss Simpson. Miss Simpson stayed
And
3
so
hours
in a
away.
year though, Mr. Dansby,
I stay
you
3
couldn't-
hours now.
You couldn't get a ride for an hour and a
It
half
had
or a
been
bus?
Judge, Your Honor, it had been times where I had rides to lined up to take me to visit Miss Simpson and Tanaris.
Put the drama away for a while because it seems like despite Miss Simpson's antics, Mr. Dansby wants to connect with this boy if he's his son. He's got 3 daughters, and he grew up without a father. He wouldn't wish this on anyone else. Should Judge Lauren take out the results?
Mr. Dansby, you are Tanoris's father.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Dansby, you had a right to be doubtful.
I know, man. I mean,
You did. And ultimately, Miss Simpson admitted that.
Miss Mangrum discusses the moment Miss Schools informed her about being pregnant with her deceased son Dominique's child. This took place at the hospital on June 23rd, amid the trauma of Dominique being shot. Miss Mangrum expresses skepticism about the paternity from the outset, providing a glimpse into the tension and disbelief embedded in the interaction between the 2 women.
Ms. Mangrum, you're here today after losing your son to a violent crime. You say the defendant, Miss Schools, is claiming your deceased son is her child's father, which you say is impossible.
Yeah.
Miss Schools, you say you have no doubt that Mr. Mangrum fathered your child, and today you will prove it to his family. How did you find out about Miss Schools' pregnancy?
The situation intensifies as Miss Schools recounts an emotional moment beside Dominique's hospital bed, suggesting Miss Mangrum was comforting her during her pregnancy. However, Miss Mangrum vehemently denies these events ever happened. A dispute over a Facebook message adds another layer to their conflict, as they argue over the communications, highlighting the distressing miscommunications between them.
I got your message. So I'm sitting right there and I'm just crying. I see him hooked up to all this stuff and I'm pregnant, so I'm very emotional at the time. So I'm crying and I sit down right beside him, beside his bed, and she's rubbing on my back. Everything is gonna be okay, don't worry.
No,
Yes, she
ma'am.
did.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No. That did not.
That didn't happen.
So sorry.
Oh,
No.
my God.
Miss Schools maintained that she informed Miss Mangrum's family throughout her pregnancy and that they exchanged supportive messages. While she alleges that Miss Mangrum visited the hospital after her daughter's birth and acknowledged a resemblance to the deceased, Miss Mangrum denies the likeness with a dismissive laugh.
So let's fast forward to when baby Dominique was born. You have the baby. During that time, do you keep in touch with Miss Mangrum and her
Like,
family?
During the whole pregnancy, I kept them updated with everything. My baby shower. She sent me little forwarded messages off Facebook with prayers and stuff, telling me she loved me and, you know, she's coming to the hospital to see me and my baby and stuff like that. And she came.
Miss Mangrum expresses frustration at Miss Schools' persistent claims of paternity involving her deceased son. leading to heightened emotions and arguments in the discussion. Judge Lake notes the tangible pain Miss Mangrum experiences, observing that the constant reminder of her son through Miss School's child might be an unbearable reminder of her loss.
All that it is.
So why we here? I
That's
told
all
you
that
leave
it
it
is.
alone. My
The
baby was
reason
fine
why we're
when
here
she was
is
at.
because I'm sick and
I'm tired of that. I'm
tired
tired
of
of
you
that. She
talking
was fine
about
when she was at.
daddy,
She got a grandmother.
watch
She
over
got
the
a daddy.
baby.
So why we
If he
here?
ain't the daddy, stop saying it.
She got one.
If he ain't the
Okay,
daddy,
let's-
stop
I
saying
told
it.
you leave it alone.
Ladies,
I told you leave it alone.
ladies.
Talking about
Oh, we was
daddy,
friends.
daddy.
Judge Lake acknowledges the complex emotions and communication difficulties between Miss Mangrum and Miss Schools, especially considering the sensitive situation surrounding the child named after Miss Mangrum's late son. She recognizes that Miss Schools may not have acted with malicious intent, while Miss Mangrum might have struggled to process the situation, resulting in tension and conflict between them.
I hear you. And now we're in court today because there is a beautiful little girl,
And she is.
and she's named after your son.
Yeah. Dominique Samaya. She's a very pretty baby.
Her husband even told me I can name the baby after him. Like I was going to name my baby that regardless, but he gave me the honest to name, give them the last name. You know, I was more close with the father. He came to me with open arms.
Mr. Mangrum recalls a moment when his son, accompanied by Miss Schools, informed him of her pregnancy and expressed his acceptance based on his son's words. He conveys a wish to remain involved, regardless of the turmoil between the ladies, and indicates an inclination to believe that the child might indeed be his grandchild.
My son told me that she was pregnant. He didn't just tell me that she was pregnant. She was right there when he told me.
When was that? Because he ain't never brought her over to the house. When did you see her?
She never got out of the car. I'm not here to argue. I met Amber and I accepted what my son told me.
I know it's difficult, sir. Take your time.
Yeah, it is. It's just a fight. You know what I'm saying? Between them, and it's like.
In a heated court dispute, Miss McBirth seeks a DNA test to disprove that her son, Mr. Hughes, is the father of Miss Jackson's child, Elijah, and is also suing for defamation. Miss McBirth strongly denounces Miss Jackson, highlighting Elijah's dissimilar looks to her family as a pivotal argument.
Mr. Hughes, you say you're stuck between your mother and your ex-girlfriend who are in a heated dispute in court today. Ms. McBirth, you petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove your son, Kakitho Hughes, is not the father of Miss Jackson's 2-year-old son, Elijah Jackson.
Miss Jackson, who has a contrasting view, is puzzled by Miss McBirth's doubt about the paternity of her child, suggesting skin color might be a point of contention. While Miss McBirth ridicules the child's appearance, Miss Jackson insists on the validity of her relationship with Mr. Hughes, despite skepticism.
So, Ms. Jackson, obviously you have a different opinion. So why do you think she's in so much doubt over your child?
I have no idea, to be honest. Like, maybe because he is so white?
Because he all the white. He ain't got no black in here. Everything I see got powder puff on it. I don't see no chocolate nowhere, okay?
No, ma'am.
Whatever.
Miss McBirth recounts seeing Elijah, noting his lighter skin and concluding he's not her family's. She's firm that he's not her grandson. Discussions about racial identity and paternity are interspersed with various claims about the clarity and consistency of information on fatherhood, pointing toward conflicting stories and possible misinformation.
Is my son. That's not gonna happen.
No, I think she's more so obsessed.
So, Miss McBirth, tell me about the first time you met Elijah.
I seen him at the doctor's office where I was taking his real children to the doctor, and it was a newborn, and I walked past him, and I kind of glanced over there, and I seen this little white baby. I knew it wasn't mine, and I ain't had nothing else to say or do about it since then.
The conversation becomes chaotic with multiple individuals speaking. Miss McBirth is adamant that Elijah isn't her son's child and expresses frustration over multiple paternity claims against her family. Miss Jackson and Miss McBirth exchange accusations, pointing out inconsistencies in stories and alleging dishonesty about relationships and lifestyle, creating a tense atmosphere filled with distrust and animosity.
I want to understand this. Was he there when you had the baby?
No.
It was another guy, that's why.
There was nobody else there but my mom and my sister.
Your mom is in Germany, so you said, when did these people come?
My mom over here in the States.
So you just got caught in another lie.
I'm sick of all these little hookers trying to say my son is the daddy. I'm sick of it. I get babies dropped off here, dropped off there. I'm sick of it.
But
and it stops today. Because that baby is not my son.
Miss McBirth acknowledges her son's appeal and activities, but firmly rejects the possibility that Elijah is his child, even in light of his intimacy with Miss Jackson. Despite emotional photos and possibilities suggested by Judge Lake, she adheres to her belief that the child isn't related to them.
He's a handsome guy. He's my son. And I know what he do. But he still, no matter what he do, he's still gonna be my son.
So hold on one second. Just take a look at the monitor. When you look at this picture,
it make me want to throw up.
It seems like your son is kissing the baby. It makes you want to throw up.
It makes me want to throw up because
Why?
it's a lie.
For your son to be kissing an innocent child?
Because it's not his.
Mr. Barlow disputes the paternity of Miss Winslow's son, Jabril, pointing out physical dissimilarities and expressing doubts rooted in the circumstances during the time of conception. He suggests infidelity on Miss Winslow's part with the landlord during his absence, which she counters by asserting that he was present enough to be the biological father.
Mr. Barlow, you say your 8 kids look exactly like you, but the defendant's son, Jabril, looks nothing like you. And that's because you're not his father, and you know who is. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Winslow, you stand in court stating that Mr. Barlow is your son's biological father, but also say if he's not, there's a good reason for it.
In a courtroom exchange, Mr. Barlow expresses skepticism regarding the landlord's late-night visits to Miss Winslow's home for repair work, implying potential infidelity. Miss Winslow defends the visits, explaining that the landlord personally handles all maintenance tasks in her building, even during late hours, to address urgent issues like a leaky roof, especially while she was pregnant.
I'm calling at 10 p.m. and he there.
You calling at 10 and he's there.
Yeah,
the landlord's at the house at 10 p.m.
Yeah,
And you know why, Your
beds
Honor?
and stuff.
You know why,
Put
Your
together
Honor?
beds.
You know why, Your
Put
Honor?
together the beds?
Yeah.
You know why,
I'm
Your
like,
Honor?
how he got
Because he doesn't have contractors. He does things
So what his
in a
so-called girlfriend
three-story
thinking about
building
this?
himself. He doesn't have a hired contractor.
Mr. Barlow questions the landlord's financial and personal interactions with Miss Winslow, suggesting the landlord might have had ulterior motives for accepting $300 instead of the $2,500 discussed. Miss Winslow defends, asserting the landlord was sympathetically assisting a single mother. Barlow further implies that the landlord purchasing and assembling furniture might indicate a relationship beyond that of tenant and landlord.
So, Mr. Barlow, your point was he may have been interested in her or something because instead of the $2,500 that was...
Who gonna take $300?
He just took $300.
Someone who felt sorry for
All
a
right, now check
single
this out.
mother.
Hold up. I'm taking $300 from you out of 25. I'm a businessman now. But yet, you didn't just give me the other $2,200, but I'm buying you furniture.
Miss Winslow explains that Mr. Barlow's insecurities regarding the landlord arose when he realized the landlord was younger than he expected. Mr. Barlow, noticing the landlord spending time with his family, like sharing ice cream and playing football with the kids, becomes suspicious and questions the landlord's presence and activities with his family, finding him too involved.
Mr. Barlow didn't know what the landlord looked like, so when he finally saw the landlord, he was like, oh, I thought the landlord was old. When he found out he was around our age, that's when his insecurities came in.
I came home one time, I just
Your
popped up,
Honor.
right? I pop up one time, they crossing the street. I think the dude is stranger because I ain't never met him yet. And so they walking across the street and I'm like, yo, I approached all of them. Hey, what y'all doing with this stranger? What you doing with my children?
Miss Winslow, emotional, reveals to Judge Lake that she seriously questions whether she is Jabril's biological mother due to numerous instances where others have commented on his dissimilar appearance to her. She presents research indicating that approximately 28,000 babies get switched at birth in hospitals, contributing to her doubts.
You're saying that you question whether or not you're this child's mother.
Yes,
And this is really upsetting you. You're serious.
Yes, I'm serious because every day when I go somewhere, whether it's the grocery store, wherever we go, the doctor, we went to a place for my kids to jungle gym jumping, and a woman, a Hispanic lady sat there and she was like, is he Hispanic?
In a heartfelt moment in Judge Lake's courtroom, the judge confirms with a probability of 99.99999% that Miss Winslow is indeed Jabril's biological mother, dismissing her fears that they were not biologically related due to a potential hospital mix-up. Relieved, Miss Winslow thanks the judge, while attention shifts back to Mr. Barlow and his doubts regarding his paternity of Jabril.
So I needed to go back to my chambers. I needed to do some research. I needed to look through the results. I had to find the maternity portion of the results so that I could confirm whether or not you are, in fact, Jabril's mother. These results state that the probability of maternity is 99.999 9.
Miss Winslow emotionally admits to still loving Mr. Barlow despite his wrongdoings and defends the landlord's presence in their life as a necessity in Mr. Barlow's frequent absences. Mr. Barlow, however, expresses a firm belief that the landlord's involvement was excessive.
So it's not like it's just like a little simple thing, like he hasn't done anything to me. He has done the most. Yes, as a woman, I stand here with my backbone, and I've accepted all of his wrongdoing. And I still love him to death, to the bottom of my heart. So why would I wait till he's in?
Excuses are best for those who use them. You understand what I'm saying?
Mr. Barlow, despite doubts, signed the birth certificate and was present during delivery, affirming a commitment to not miss a day of Jabril's life if he is the father. He indicates previous absences in his other 8 children's lives and doesn't want to repeat. He admits to mentioning a DNA test at the time of signing.
So, Mr. Barlow, this is your name?
Yes,
listed as the father on the birth certificate?
Yes, it is.
So
I was there during the delivery. I was there to sign the birth certificate because there's no way for me to say, this is not my child. I got 9 children. And out of those other 8 children, there's been spots in their life that I missed.